Hey, this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
Hey, this is Marcus Foligno, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, nice. 30 days in the hole. 30 days in the hole. Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody. That sound can mean only one thing. It is time once again for another live show here on a Monday night. And without further ado, let's turn it over to your host of our programming here this evening, Denny. Good evening.
Good evening to you, and good evening to everybody on the show. You know, tonight's show is about, I'm going to tell you why I think the Wild take first place. And it's really not, it's just common sense. And, you know, last year I did a show about, are the Wild building a dynasty? And yes, they are. And tonight I'm going to show you how. Before that, I want to get in, you know, I've looked at about numerous podcasts about the Wild and the signing of Kaprizov and getting a feel for what the country thinks, right? And there's one show called Dropping the Gloves with John Scott. Now, he is a former Wild player back in 89, 88, no, 08, 09, 2009, I think. And he was an enforcer for 1 year for us. And I'm going to tell you, I've never seen somebody so far off on the Minnesota Wild than our former player, John. He starts it out with how to ruin a franchise with one signing. And of course, he's talking about Kaprizov. And he goes through the whole show about everything is terrible. We have no goalies. We got nothing here, nothing there. And that signing Kaprizov was the worst thing that could ever happen to the Wild. It destroys them. I don't know what you people think, but I think he's so far off the line, it's unbelievable. He's saying 17 million. Well, I'm going over the AAVs tonight on all our important players. Start with Kaprizov. He signed for 17. Do you realize in a couple of years that contract's going to be worth 21 to 23 million? Think about that for a second. You know, one thing Billy has done, and you know how hard I am on Billy, he has put together the right framework to build a championship. Money-wise, look at Eck. He signed for what? 5 million, 5.5? Yeah, 5.25 million. He's a $10 million player now, 8 to 10 at any rate. And then you look at Faber. His contract's going to be worth 10 and 12 in a couple of years at 8 right now. Boldy, who is just an absolute steal with the 7-7, he's going to be a $12 million player shortly. Think about that. That's a big difference. And Billy has consistently done that with all his core players. And now sign Gus Bus under 7. Excuse me. It's the beer talking. That's huge. You know, I hear all the time how nobody wants to play for Minnesota. Well, he just came right out and said he loves it here and he wants to stay here. And there you go. You know, and everybody who talks about they don't want to play for the Wild, everybody wants to play with Kaprizov if they could. Believe me. You know, he's one of the top 5 players in the world, and there isn't anybody in their right mind that wouldn't want to play with Kaprizov. So, you know, all these podcasters have all these views, and none of them are close. Now, getting on to the standings. Before I get into how I get to the Wild, how they achieved the goal this year. I'm going to talk about the rest of the teams, or some of them anyway. And the East Coast podcast had the Wild between 91 and 93 points for the year, between 6th and 8th, and that seems to be the common theme on the East Coast. I don't know how they get those numbers, very short. They're very short-minded. If you remember, the Wild were 26, 11, and 4, and in first place when Kaprizov got hurt. And then, of course, we lost everybody else. Spurgeon, Brodin. We lost Hartman. The list just went on and on. It never stopped. So we were a 500 team the rest of the way. Well, you know what? I don't care what team you're. If you lost all your top core players, you'd be hanging too. It's just the way it is. This year, I think the hockey gods are smiling on Minnesota. I really do. They're not going to go through another year like they have the last couple. The gods are smiling. Thank God for that. What do you think, Seth?
Well, it all depends on the injuries, and the percentages. Just the older you get, the percentages are you are more likely to get hurt, and B, it is more likely that it takes you longer to recover from injury. Fortunately, the Wild have 9 players on the roster that are 25 or under, which feels like a change from recently. But, if those same guys get hurt, it doesn't matter who they have on the roster. If those same guys get hurt like they did last year, it's going to be the same story as it was last year and has been every year for the last 10 years.
Well, this year the injuries are not going to hit us. I got a feeling. As I look at this team and how Billy has put it together, I never expected last year when I talked about the Wild and building a dynasty that all 5 kids are here right now. And boy, am I glad about that. We have 2 bona fide Calder Cup contention in Zeev, Buium, and Wallstedt. Wallsted's last game, he had a .928 save percentage. And look at what Gus Bus did, .929 save percentage. That's what we're looking at for the year. Elite. Not good, not very good, but elite. And our defense is the deepest of any team that I've looked at. Definitely in the Central. Makar is the best defenseman, and there's nobody touching him. I really think Zeev Buium will be our best defenseman in not too short a time. We're talking 10, maybe 20 games. He will be our best, and he's definitely in the running for the Calder Cup. I could very easily see him getting 50-plus points. And that doesn't include Yeroff or Ogren. I expect them both to be 50-point players this year. In fact, I expect the Wild to have 8 players capable of doing 50 points or more for the year. And I can't remember the last time that's happened with the Wild. I don't think it ever has. Where you take the 4 kids and you add them in there. Now, I know there's a question mark about Yeroff and Ogren, but, Yeroff has gotten better and better each game he's played. And I see a huge improvement from him, and I don't have any problems with him at all. They keep talking about he can't do the face. Well, then don't have him do the face-off. Have Tarasenko or Ogren go in there and do the face. It's not a big deal. Doesn't stop him from being a center, just no face-offs until he gets it. What are your thoughts on that, Seth?
Hines has shown no hesitancy to move centers for strictly face-offs and just change the wings. I would imagine he'll do that again. especially early in the season too. Like I have liked the strides that Yurov has made during the preseason. I think his defense plays now.
Yep.
It just I keep mentioning this because I think we all just assumed that it was the case when Brock Faber stepped on the ice and just never looked back. And Matt Boldy kind of did the same thing. That's not how it always goes. It takes those guys, it takes young players especially, it takes them a little while to get used to playing at the NHL level. And look at Marco Rossi. He went down to Iowa, came back, and he was fine. But those first 19 games didn't look great. So it just depends on how quickly it takes them to get accustomed and kind of have their light bulb moment of like, oh yeah, I get it. I know what it takes to play at the NHL level. If they can have that in a short frame of time, that obviously makes their chances of putting points on the board much better. But it's kind of on them. It's kind of on them as to when they get acclimated to life at the NHL level.
There you go. When I look at Rossi, as soon as he gained 15 pounds of muscle, he was an NHLer, and I've talked about this before. And now this year, he's gone out, hired a coach to work on his face-offs. He's gained some more muscle. He's going to be a beast this year. In fact, I expect him to be the star of the game, the most improved player on the team. And I look at Boldy and how I have the lineup going. I guess I'll start right now. For the starting lineup, this hasn't changed really. I got Kaprizov, Rossi, and Boldy, the first line. And I expect them to do about 290 points this year. That's with Kaprizov with 120, Rossi with 80 plus, and Boldy with 90 plus. For the second line, I got Ober, Yurov, and Tarasenko. And I expect 150 points from that line, which we haven't had in a long time. Third line, I got Hartman, Ek, and Foligno, and I got them for 120 points. I think that's reasonable to expect. Foligno, if he has a good year, will get 15 goals. And that's, Ek and Hartman are going to get their 25 to 30 goals. And so it's not unreasonable to think that they'll score 150 for the year. And then for the fourth line, I got Sturm, Trenin, and Hinostroza. Now, last year, our fourth line combined for the whole year had 19 points. How ridiculous is that? I mean, unbelievable. This year, I got him hitting 70 points. Trenin is a question mark. He's lost some weight. He's looking really good out on the ice. Trenin was always a smart player. And if we can get 15 goals from him, I'd be quite happy with it. And I think that's reasonable to expect. Same with Nico Sturm. He's a 12 to 15 every year. And it's reasonable to expect he'll hit 15 again. Hinostroza, you're looking at 10 to 12. It all depends on how they play him. But, he brings such an energy to the game. He brings something that nobody else has. And that's what I like about Hinostroza. So when you look at the Minnesota Wild had 97 points last year with basically top six out just about, half the year. You have Kaprizov back in for the full year. You're looking at least 50 goals, but I think it's not beyond reason to think he'll score 60 and get 120 points. And, he makes anybody he plays with better. And with Rossi and Boldy up in the front line, they're just going to be a beast. I mean, they really are. Boldy could hit 100 points this year. And the one thing I didn't like about Boldy last year is, he took 23 games off where they lollygagged up and down the ice. He wasn't back checking. He wasn't forechecking. And I think him and Hines were going round and round for something. And you remember Billy brought in his dad and his mom for the weekend, and that changed his whole mindset. And he's back to being the Boldy we all love. And so I think this year you're going to see 82 games. He's playing as good as he can play. I mean, I think his dad really got to him, which is a good thing for us because, Boldy is he's a hell of a player. And it's not beyond reason to think he could score 100. And I'll tell you why. For my power play, for my first power play this year, I got Kaprizov, Rossi, Boldy, William, and Hartman for the first line. For the second power play, I got Kaprizov, Boldy, with Jurasek, Tarantino, and Eck is my second power play. Yes, I'm doubling up Boldy and Kaprizov. And why not? I mean, when you're on the power play, you're not skating so much. And if you have to go up and down a few times, of course, you change out. But for the most part, you're not skating near as much as you would going up and down the ice. So I think they can handle a double shift, especially Kaprizov. But when you're double shifting Boldy and Kaprizov, you can expect at least another 10 points out of the year for Boldy, simply because he was on the second power play too. I mean, it only makes sense. And that's how I would play it. What do you think, Seth?
I mean, that's a hell of a best case scenario in all accounts, but there's about a 1,000,000% chance that not all of that hits because injuries. And I'll just tell you this, Denny. The year that the Wild scored a franchise record in goals, they had 4 players with 50-plus points.
Which was a beautiful thing.
They had 4 more that were in the 40s, 3 more in the 30s, and then it was 20s and below for the rest. Their fourth line that year, Nico Sturm had 9 goals, Brandon Duhaime had 6, and Connor Dewar was kind of part of the fourth line. It was a conglomeration on the fourth line. I mean, look, like I think for the Wilds to really make a leap in the division, they're definitely going to need to get more impact from the whole lineup, not just the top 6.
Absolutely.
I just think, if you can get some of the younger guys comfortable and get them looking the part, I think that's a huge battle first, and then go from there, which means that those point numbers probably won't be there, but I don't know. It's just, it all depends on the injuries, and we're just betting on the same group, the same formula for the most part, not being hurt this year when they have been hurt
a lot
each of the last 3 years. A lot.
Yep. I know. I just averages got to average out.
Yeah, that's a great point, is that at some point, like the Winnipeg Jets, we have already seen the Winnipeg Jets, who were historically healthy last year, they're already dealing with injuries.
Yep. I think this is Minnesota's year. I really do. Top to bottom, we've never had the depth that we do. And I'm not asking anything unreasonable from Stern, Trenton, or Hinostroza. If they just have their typical normal year, 10, 15 goals, they're going to be just fine. And we haven't had that forever. And when you look at the depth of our team, And then you look at what we have in goal. I mean, we're ready. We're going to take the Central by storm. I really think so. And the way Billy has been dealing with the contracts is excellent. I've been reading a lot about Panarin wanting to come here from New York to play with Kaprizov. I don't know how we could afford him, because he's at $12 million now. I don't know if we can afford another $12 million player unless he takes a deal to come here. I mean, it's always possible. But I still like Alex Tuch. He scored 37 goals last year, just like Panarin, and he's asking for 10. And I'm sure we can work out a deal with him. I love Alex Tuch. But other than that, I don't see anything wrong with the Wild. I just hope that Hines plays the kids. And when I mean that, you got to let them play 20 games to see what you have. You can't play them 2-3 games and expect that's how it's going to work. You have to give them some time because, the biggest thing with the kids coming on is not only the speed and the strength of the players, but it's the confidence. And if you score a goal right away, you're feeling good and you're confident. For the players who don't score right away, well, every game they get a little bit down, a little bit more down. And that's where the pros, the vets got to come in and set them straight in how this works. That's why you got to give them 20 games to see if they can figure it out. That way you know what you have. And if they're not working out, well, then you demote them, But, Ogren and Yerov are the big question marks for the second line. I have no thoughts at all that Steve Boyne's going to be a Calder Cup contender. I can see him getting 50, 60 points. I just love the kid. When you watch him, the way he sees the ice, and he got, 3 assists in the preseason?
Mm-hmm.
You can see how he just took over he's beautiful to watch, and he's only getting better. I mean, only Brodin is a better skater than William right now. And you're going to see William take off. And with Jurasek, I love his shot. He's got the best shot on the team, I think. Putting him on the second power play is going to play big dividends for the Wild. Because he's got a shot. If the puck hit the glass right, it would break the glass. That's how powerful his shot is. And there's nobody in the Wild. Dumba used to have a big, heavy shot like that. But we haven't seen a shot like Dumba's since Jurasek now. Any thoughts? Any questions? Comments?
Well, let's start with one from Ace. At what point are you comfortable in trading the young guys for assets like Alex Tuch? Is it now? Is it next year? I think it's now. I think
absolutely.
I think if somebody falls out of the race, if you don't have to deal with substantial injuries, you could have as much as $20 million. You could have as much as $20 million available at the trade deadline this year. That can get you
a hell of an acquisition.
Anything.
Yes. Do we really going to have 20 million?
If they make no roster moves, which that's probably not going to happen.
Right.
But if they made 0 roster moves between now and the trade deadline, they would have 20. So even if you make a few moves and still accumulate, 12, 13.
Well, then Panarin's possible.
I'm saying if you're smart with your cap accumulation between now and the trade deadline, you're going to be able to do basically whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, Panarin, he's an 80, 90 point player. Tuch can score goals, but he doesn't get that many assists. And that's fine. I mean, I love Tuch. If we could get him, I would. If we could get Panarin, it all depends on what they want. If I have to give up Ogren or Yerov, which I'm sure that's what they're going to ask for, I'd have to think about that one. but we have until All-Star break to look and see what we have. Right now, it's all conjecture. I'm just looking at what I see and what I'm hoping happens. I really do think the Wild will take first this year, as I explained. And I don't see, I'm not being unreasonable with anybody in projecting. That's what I love about it. I mean, we could have 8 players with 50 points. Never happened before. But it's possible. Will it happen? Probably not. But it's quite possible. I know when somebody gets hurt, we got Lambos, we got Hunter Haight. I mean, our call-ups are strong as hell, too. I mean, we have more depth than any team in the Central. And you're talking about Winnipeg. They're a one-line team now. They expect Gustav Nyquist to score 25 goals this year. I really saw that. And Taves, when he quit, he wasn't playing that good, and now they think he's going to be a 25, 30-goal scorer with Gustav. I don't know what the hell they're smoking, but that's not happening. God. At Dallas, they got a hell of a team. But they're a little thin on backups. The good thing is when Jamie Benn got hurt, he's got a $9.5 million contract. They can get somebody. So I'm not so worried about Dallas. And, everybody's got Dallas taken first, Colorado taken second, Winnipeg taken third, and St. Louis taken fourth, and Minnesota maybe fifth or sixth. I'm going to tell you right now, the Mammoth are replacing somebody on that list. And the way Winnipeg's looking, I'm going to say it's Winnipeg that takes over, or Utah's going to take over Winnipeg's spot, because they are loaded up. They're young. They're really good. Logan Cooley is going to be a breakout player in that team this year. And regarding Chicago, I expect they're going to gain 20, 22, 23 points this year. Frank Nazar, who I talked about earlier, he's going to be a Calder Cup contender too, along with Renzel. They're both just really good players. When Judd Brackett picked Ogren, we had Snug and Renzel on the board, and he picked Ogren. And of course, I wanted either one Minnesota boys, but that just shows you how good the Gophers are and what they're producing. Jackson McComb just got signed to a big deal. He's another Gopher. And, it's just fun talking about hockey again. Any more questions, comments? Let's get to it.
Ace says, I feel bad for Damon Hunt. Came back here only to leave again when Brodin comes back. Dude can't catch a break.
Well, he'll be in Iowa, and he'll be a call-up. I expect you'll be seeing him. You don't think so?
I think if the Wild put him on waivers, I think he goes back to Columbus.
You think? Well,
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or he'll just get, as Urban mentions, he'll just get claims. That'd be most likely, because I don't know. It's either that or you keep him on the roster as your 7th defenseman and you send your check down.
Get rid of Bogo.
Or get rid of Bogosian.
Yep.
Del Owen has the real question that Wild fans need to be asking themselves. If a player is a choice, why would he pick Kaprizov, Rossi in Minnesota over McDavid, Draisaitl, and Edmonton?
They're all the same. They're all the greatest players in the world. I mean, it is whoever you like. But all the stuff I hear about nobody wants to play for Minnesota, it's all bullshit. There's no difference playing McDavid or Kaprizov or McKinnon. I mean, they're the best in the world. Why wouldn't you want to play with them? Just who your favorites are. That's all. Next.
Gary says, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to worry about the trade deadline because everybody stayed healthy? I wouldn't mind that.
I really think that's happening this year. I really do. You just go by averages. It's got to even out. With 3 bad years, we got to have a good year. And I think this is the year. I really do. Hockey gods are hockey gods. Next comment.
Are there young guys that have disappointed you to this point in the preseason or left you wanting more? Age and expectation were high, and maybe they aren't living up to it.
Well, with Tarasenko, I didn't know, but after the game in Chicago, and I saw he has a very quick release, and that was a beauty to watch. So my doubts about him are going away. I got to be honest. That was a hell of a goal. Nice snipe. Ogren, I think he has to just gain the confidence. When you're a kid coming out, you don't know if you belong there or not until something happens that convinces you that you belong here. And it has to happen for him. It hasn't happened yet, but like I say, that's why you need 20 games. So they don't have any pressure on them in 1 or 2 games. They can play their game and figure it out. And, it's all part of coaching up a player. And that's one thing I hope Hines changes his attitude about the kids. Because we all know he doesn't like playing the kids. But now he has to. So let's hope he adapts. Next comment.
What does a successful season look like for the Minnesota Wild?
First place, 112 points.
That is courtesy of Fridley Mike.
Yeah, I expect him to take first place. In fact, I'm the only one who expects him to take first place. But that's okay. One of the best things I do is I can evaluate talent. I don't care who you are. And everything I see is looking very good right now. I mean, I'm smiling year to year. Can't believe I'm saying that it happened so fast because, last year I had my doubts with all the kids who would get to play, and now they're all here. That's huge. It really is. Next.
I'll say competing for one of the top 3 spots, winning at least a series. They've got you can't go into this season, do the same thing. You have nothing to point to now. You have nothing to be able to point to if you get bounced in the first round this year. You can't say, well, we had no cap room. You're going to be pointing to the injuries, and the injuries have been a factor each of the last 3 seasons. So
they absolutely have.
You got to win around this year, at least, because there's no way to say that it's not a disappointing season if you get bounced again in the first round. It is absolutely a disappointment.
We got too good a team to get bounced. If we get bounced, it's because Hines is not doing his job. And so far, last year I saw players who were really not happy with Hines. Rossi was 1, Boldy was 2, but there's a few others that were not happy with how Hines was running the show. And of course, time heals wounds, and everybody's good to go. Well, I just hope it stays that way. I mean, Hines is a very demanding coach. There's nothing wrong with that. But you also got to know when to let up and not have everybody fear if they make a mistake, especially with the kids. Let them make their mistakes. It's a long season. They have to gain confidence. And that's 90% of the game when you get to this level. Because everybody can skate, everybody can shoot. It's who's confident enough to do it. I mean, take Boldy, for example. What did he do in Boston the first night he played with us? He was spectacular. And he just took off. That doesn't happen all the time. In fact, it rarely happens. But that gave him the confidence he knew he could play here. And that's all you got to see from over. It's something like that. Next comment.
Fridley Mike, I think everyone can agree the window is just opening up. How many years is it open for?
Oh. What'd you say? We got 8 players under 25?
9.
9. It's damn near half the team. And, a lot of people don't agree with us, and I understand. But, 31, 32, 33 is not old anymore. When you hit 35 is when the clock starts ticking the other way. And, and I've talked about this 100 times. Players now work out year-round. Dietitian coaches, and they're doing everything they can to extend their career. And it really shows. I mean, look at how old Florida is. I mean, and they're winning the Stanley Cup. It's not because they have a bunch of young kids. No, they got the old vets who know how to play the game. But I can tell you this, I don't see Florida going nowhere this year. Injuries have hit them just like it hit us. Now, losing Barkov for the year is really going to hurt it. And who else did they have hurt already? I forget.
To Chuck.
Yeah, to Chuck. I mean, that's 2 huge pieces that they can't just replace. It's going to hurt Florida big time. Next question.
Was training camp as hard this year as it was last? I talked to Kevin Gorg today, and he said the players said it was harder this year.
Good. It's better to be in as good a shape as you can be. One thing Herbie Brooks used to do back in the 80s, and late 70s, he'd run them kids till they start throwing up. It'd be just like boot camp going in the Army. And that's a good thing because when you're in better shape at the end of the game, you're not huffing and puffing. You're ready to go. And I think Hines is kind of in that mold, which is a good thing. Next question.
Dell, I'm working on yours, trying to put the head-to-heads together, but there's no site that does it the way that would make the most sense. So I have to do it by hand. And we all know that math is a major struggle for me. So I will work on that, but let's go to this one. I felt last year that with the age of their young, good, and emerging stars, this team could have a 4 to 5 year window if they didn't do stupid things like signing Brock Besser or older players. No, Dell, I like that as a good idea. I'm going to bookmark that, and I'm going to do that for future. I'm going to do that for an episode this week. I really like that idea because that's been a bit of an issue the last few years for sure. So I'll bookmark that, and I'll do it for an actual episode because I don't want to stammer my way through it. Be like, well, I think their record was this. I'll actually write it out. I'll actually write it out and do that for an episode before Thursday.
There you go. That's a good one.
What else should we get to here? I had some starred from previously. Urov doesn't look like a liability, at least, so it's less price for him learning in games. Yeah, I think Urov's defense plays right now, which means that you can throw him in the lineup and let him kind of figure out the offense, and you don't have to feel like he's hurting you in the lineup.
I think he's gotten better every game. I like him. I really like him. I think he's a 50-point player this year. Absolutely. Next question.
Is it better to be patient and develop younger players this year, or pull the trigger on or before the trade deadline on a player that might not exactly be the best fit?
Well, it all depends. I mean, you got to look at what you need. I mean, it changes over the course of a year by a lot. And you got to look at who's available, and what the price is. I mean, there's a lot of things to consider. Right now, we want to develop our kids and see what we have. I mean, honest to God, it's very important to let the kids play with no pressure and just see what they have, what they can offer. Until you do that, you don't know. You know, one of the reasons that Hines got fired in Nashville is because he wouldn't give the kids a chance. And Foligno would come up for 2 or 3 games and he'd send him back down because he made a mistake. Well, we all know what happened with that. You know, we traded Graham for Foligno, and look how that took off. And Hines got fired because of it. And for good reason. You got to let the kids play and see what you got. That's just a good example.
So here's my thought on it. I think it's fair to say that there was a little pressure on Ogren and Urov to make the team this year.
Yep.
So now that has been eliminated, what I would really hope is that John Hines says there's no pressure to make the team anymore. You're on the team. Just go out there and make an impact.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the biggest thing about playing hockey is your confidence at this level. And either you get it or you don't. So look at how many number 1 players have bombed. Didn't matter how good they played. They never got the confidence to play up here. And it showed. I mean, confidence is 90% of the game at this level. Next question.
I want to talk about this one because I actually used the Boston Bruins as a model. Big Bear says it looks like Wallstead will be a possible trade option now. I don't necessarily think so.
You want me to finish, or you want to finish that? God.
I said in the reaction of the Filip Gustavsson's contract is that the Bruins got 3 years out of that combination, and it worked just fine. There was a little give, little take here, and at the end of it, they ended up trading Ullmark because he wanted a little more than they were willing to spend. But ultimately, this just extends the window to really see what Jesper is. And if you get a good look at him over these next few years and you determine that he's not a franchise guy, then you hang on to Gus. But if you think that Jesper is going to be as good as we have been told for years that he's going to be, then Gus at 6.8 a few years down the road, that's a very attractive trade piece.
That's true, but I can tell you this. As I've said before, the Wallstead trade to get him was the best deal the Wild have ever done. My hat's off to Judd Bracken for that. Wallstead's a stud goalie. I'm telling you right now, he's going to be at the Minnesota Wild for a very long time. And Wallstead is a stud goalie. We have the best tandem in hockey. I'm trying to think. Early in the Wild career, we had Fernandez and
Backstrom.
Backstrom. That was a hell of a 1-2 punch too. You know, Backstrom had like a .931 save percentage and was just a star. And Fernandez was a very good goalie in his own right. And the Wild carried that. I mean, Jacques Lemaire played him every other game. Didn't matter if he got a shutout or not. And it worked out well for us. Backstrom was just a hell of a goal. And I see the same thing with the Wild. You can't beat our goalies. You just can't. I love Olstead. He's going to be he's something special. Yeah, what I see, how he tracks the puck and how he's always watching the play. He reads the play very well. And you always see he's standing up front for the shot. He's ready for it. He doesn't have to scramble. He's a very quiet goalie that way. He's got a good glove hand. I mean, he moves the pads well, and he reads the play exceptionally well. And I only see but good things come from him. I know everybody has their doubts about him, but I don't have any. I think he's going to be a superstar for a long time with us. Next.
What should Minnesota trade for a big right-hand shot D-man? A spot that they are lacking. I'll just say, and again, I have tried to find this on X for probably over a year. Somebody said, when your window for contention opens, everything that you have at your disposal needs to go to maximizing that window. If you don't think it's something that's going to help you that season or like a year or two down the line, it's up for grabs. And so I'll echo that. Anything that the Minnesota Wild do not feel like is helping them during the window of contention, and whether you say that starts this year, whether you say it starts next year, anything that's not helping you in that window is up for grabs. Draft picks, prospects, because you got to maximize that window. You got to maximize that window that you define as yours. And I don't know. That was from a GM, I think, and I've really resonated with that since I heard it. I repeat it often, and I'm fully on board with that line of thinking. Like if you're in your contention window, you got to win now, immediately now.
Well, I look at it this way. We got 9 players under 25. We're looking at least 5 or 6 years of just being really kick-ass good, minimum. I mean, our team is set up the right way. I got to give Billy credit for that. I mean, we got one hell of a team. Everybody forgets about how good they were before they got hurt. And that's disappointing because now they just look at Minnesota as nothing. And I got to tell you something. I truly believe the Wild take first, period.
Dell is right on here. Quinn Hughes will end up in New Jersey. Like that's already basically signed. The Hughes Trinity wants to play together, and the Hughes Trinity will do whatever it takes to make that happen.
Yep, I absolutely think it'll happen. Who knows how long it'll take to happen, but I think it does happen. It's happened before. Brothers have waited, 3, 4, 5, 10 years to play with each other. And I mean, play hockey together. I don't know what the hell I'm saying there. Next comment.
Yeah, Matt saying have to go all in. Look how Vegas and Colorado and the Panthers, they do what it takes to strengthen that window. It's 100% right.
Absolutely. Now the Wild are in a position to do it. And if we got $23 million at All-Star break for a big acquisition, I just think That's awesome. We haven't had that in a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge boost for us. And I have no problem with Judd Brackett. You know, there's a lot of talk on the East Coast about Panarin coming here, and that could be a real possibility. I don't know. They seem to think it might happen.
The only way that I say no on Panarin is if he is having just because 2 years ago he scored 49 goals. This past season he had 37, I think.
37,
So still
yeah.
productive. But if his numbers are dropping for a second consecutive season, I'm kind of out. I'm kind of out on the let's pull somebody in for let's pull somebody in that's kind of on the way down and just hope that we can jumpstart them. Go do the Rantanen. I don't give two F's what it costs. Go do the Rantanen deal and then add him to your group going forward. That's the kind of outside the box thinking that general managers have to do in order to keep their windows going. Bill Zito did it when he went and got Kachuk. He did it when he went and got Reinhart, when he went and got Bennett. You add pieces to those groups. Oh, God, Glenn. The Wild did that with Johansson. Oh.
Oh, my God. Oh.
I mean, he's not wrong, but it hurt my head. And Brian is absolutely right here. That Rangers team was bad last year. So if he rebounds, he's on the last year of his deal. You can see how it goes and reevaluate. Fine.
Yep.
Perfectly fine with that. But I just don't want to pull somebody in that is having a rough year. And you pull somebody in that's having a rough year and you're like, oh yeah, they're going to ignite what we're doing. Not always the case. How did Gustav Nyquist work? He was having a bad year. He continued to have a bad year. Justin Brazeau was having an okay year. He continued to have not a good year. Go get somebody that wants out on a team that's not doing well, and then add them to your mix going forward.
Well, I can tell you one thing right now. Alex Tuck is not happy. Buffalo is not going to pay him what he wants. He would be a really good acquisition for us. As I've been saying for a long time, he would fit right in. He had 37 goals last year. Nothing wrong with that. That would be a really nice acquisition. And we'd only have to give up a couple pieces for him. I think it'd be well worth it.
I'm still holding out hope for a teammate of his.
Tage Thompson isn't going nowhere. At least not yet. He's their best player. They would lose all their fan base. I mean, it's just not going to.
That would be so out of character for them to do that. Considering that they've done it 2 times already.
Yeah, just as Ike.
I couldn't believe that I don't even know if it was real. I thought I saw a video of him saying he had never heard Buffalo that loud. And he was like, maybe they just were all happy to see me not in a Buffalo uniform. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
He's probably right.
Well, they got pretty down and dirty when he wanted to treat his neck a different way and they wanted. That was the beginning and the end of it, really. And look how it turned out for Ike.
Yeah.
I mean, he was right all along.
Adrian Kempe from Los Angeles.
What?
As a possible, because the Kings are another team that could fall out of it. Adrian Kempe's 29. He's in the final year of his deal. Not sure if he wants to stay in Los Angeles or not.
Huh. That's an interesting thought. I'll have to think about that one. I'll get back to you on that one. Promise. I'll I'll think about that. Can't be.
Ron saying they can't do a Rantanen deal like Carolina did. I mean what Dallas did. Not necessarily what Carolina did. Dallas acquiring Rantanen and then signing him to an old extension. That was more what I was looking for. But I get what you're saying. Like, if you're going to pull in somebody that high caliber talent, you got to keep them.
You should.
What did Kempe? Kempe had 73 points, 35 goals this past season, making 5.5.
That's a steal.
Okay, Adrian Kempe's my new top target.
Okay. Yeah, he's on my. I got to look at it. You know, how
my
many
new
times
top
do we get
target.
to see? Yeah, how many times do we get to see Kempe play?
We play the Kings a few times this year, I think.
Yeah, that might be an interesting game to go. Oh, by the way,
Doy, we play them on Monday the 13th.
Oh hell!
Right off the bat.
I forgot. I'm going to bring this up right now. January 28th against the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm going to do my birthday gig with the meet and greet, and most likely Seth will be there. I'll be there, and if you want to just come and have a shot and shoot the shit, or have a beer and go to the game, you're more than welcome to come. Last year was really nice, and I'm getting a hoverboard, so I don't have to walk, so I can just cruise the concourse on my hoverboard. Yeah, because I can barely walk now, folks. It is what it is. I'm getting old, and my hips are really bad. So, yeah, I'm getting a hoverboard so I can cruise. And then I can also go to concerts. But yeah, January 28th, if you want to do a meet and greet and have a beer and talk about whatever, I'll keep you updated where we'll be. But most likely, what's that place called that we went to last time? Zamboni's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where we'll go because that's really a good place. Any more thoughts or questions?
One thing that I wanted to mention, Stadium Arena 4 says, I like the Minnesota Wild white 25th anniversary jersey.
Yeah, I do too.
That's a sick jersey.
I think it's their first jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it a lot.
And we'll finish with this. Brian says, I can't wait for some Iowa Wild hockey to start on the weekends.
Well, I can tell you this. I'll be going down for at least 1 week and to watch a couple games. I'm getting that sorted out with a buddy, and we're just trying to figure out the time to go down. But I will be going down to watch the Iowa Wild and see what happens. But yeah. So is that it for tonight?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll just mention to Simbri, Alex and I recorded a little bit before this, but I didn't have time to get it edited and put out. So there is an episode coming tonight, and we do talk about the line combinations that were mentioned at practice. With Foligno on line 2. Yeah, we'll talk about it because I don't know. I didn't 100% love that, but I kind of explained what I think is going on. So we'll talk about that here in a jiffy.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. You know I really appreciate it. And Dropping the Gloves gets my first "What the hell are you smoking?" for the new year. Good night, everybody.